What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another Bitcoin analysis. Today we're not just looking at Bitcoin but also at DXY. Of course, yesterday I already spoke about it over on X. If you want to check that out, there's a short video there. And I decided to post videos now whenever the action is pretty slow in the charts over on X. So you can expect now that mostly on weekends and really slower days that I make shorter updates when there's nothing really new to mention about the charts. And I'll still be updating on a daily basis, but it will be over on X. So as always, guys, make sure to follow over there. This is the fastest way to stay up to date with my analysis. I post about everything that's relevant for the Bitcoin price there as far as charts goes, and of course sometimes some fundamental updates as well. But yeah, guys, let's go straight into the charts now. Of course, there's been a lot of action in the last few days, and of course the whole of crypto X or crypto Twitter, whatever you want to call it, has turned extremely bullish again and is talking about the bull run, the 90-day bull run that kicked off a few days ago apparently. And yeah, we have to look at the key levels to see if it's already confirmed that we have a breakout on these larger time frames. Of course, that massive downtrend that we've been in since the 109K top. And what we need to do in order to confirm it if we haven't done so, and what the key levels are overall. I'm going to kick things off here on the largest time frame today. Going to go straight into the weekly chart. And we'll discuss this first because, of course, today we have the big weekly close. And there we had the key spot. You can see yesterday I've been speaking about it over on X in a short video about the key levels here. And there you can see that on a weekly closing basis, we're still looking here for a close above the key level here of 86,200 roughly. And that perfectly aligns here with the 38.2 of the Fibonacci retracement as well, coming from the prior range low here, right around 49K to our current top of 109K. There you can see we've been trading sideways basically between the 38.2 and the 50. And now we just got rejected exactly at the high close here of that range and at the 38.2 simultaneously. So really key spot here. We would like to see a close here on a weekly closing basis above 86,000, let's say 300 here, and then we would expect some continuation upwards towards 92 and 93K. Of course, this key area of interest up here that becomes very clear here now on the 3-day and the daily chart. To the downside, of course, we want to hold the current low here on a closing basis, 78,400. I don't see that any danger of that happening or that we get anywhere close to it by tonight, by the time this candle closes here. But we got to mention it, of course. And then just below there, we can see a nice wick below the 50-week SMA. And that is, of course, what we've been talking about since January. I've been talking about the 74 to 72K range since January as our target area if Bitcoin loses the 92 to 93K level, right? That was always our target. And as you see here, from a price action perspective alone, the key target area, the strongest area of interest here, visible in the charts. And that, of course, here comes in confluence with a lot of stuff that we see here on these two separate Fibonacci retracements. The one that I just mentioned from the prior range lows to the current highs here. There we have the 61.8, of course, a key level in weaker trends always. Usually, if we don't get a bounce on the 38.2, then the 61.8 has a massive hit rate. We haven't touched that yet, and we have not entered this key area yet here, consisting of the prior range highs. But of course, we were in the 74K range already, right at 74,400 here. That has been the current low so far for this correction. And then the other Fibonacci retracement, another key level in there, of course, the 38.2, the absolute strongest level when we look at massive uptrends here. And that, of course, coming from the bear market lows right around 15K to our current top here, 109K. So really, really strong support below there, and still the same thing if we are moving any lower here, which there still is the bias towards it. The momentum is still taking the price to the downside here. And this is the key level that we want to bounce from and still want to close back above the 50-week SMA. As we know, every time we have closed below it after printing new all-time highs, we ended up going down to our bear market lows. So here, nothing really has changed. Everything here from this perspective on the weekly chart still looks exactly the same. And then the next time frame that is really important now. Yesterday, we had a massive close here. Of course, everyone on Crypto X and their grandma has been celebrating the breakout from this downtrend here. But as you know, guys, there's two things that we always focus on here on this channel. Confirmation, and confirmation for a reversal from a downtrend to an uptrend comes by breaking the prior high on a closing basis. And that's why I always tell you guys, focus on horizontals over diagonals any day. This is actually very, very important to only focus on those diagonal lines whenever you have strong confluence with horizontal levels as well, or other key indicators that you have a lot of confidence in, right? Everyone has a different system, but this is my personal advice. And at this point, I also got to mention this is not financial advice, purely for educational purpose, and hopefully get some entertainment out of it as well. So here is still the key price level here to break. You can see here we have this lower high, lower low structure, and the prior high here in this range is right at 87,500 on a closing basis. And that's very similar to the daily chart, which we will see in a second. So look at this one here, this candle here, for example. You can see that that's just a wick. We're not focusing on wicks, we're focusing on bodies, on closing prices. And for that, we can see here, even from the perspective of the diagonal line, we can see that if we connect the bodies here, the true line, then we're still sitting below this trend line. And therefore, the momentum is still pointing to the downside here. If we get a break here of the prior high and confirm here above here on a 3-day closing basis above 87,500, then we have a clear move towards 92 and 93K, this key area of interest here that I just mentioned on the weekly chart, right? We see here massive resistance and support for a few months. And then, of course, we lost that area, but key area of interest, of course, previously very, very strong support, therefore very strong resistance, most likely on the way up as well. And then we go over now into the daily chart here. And there we can see something very similar. The whole market has been celebrating the breakout yesterday. And I posted a few videos on X the day before and yesterday, looking at the exact areas that are important. So from a daily closing basis, we also still want to take out the prior high here from this downtrend. And there we can see here the same thing, this lower high, lower low structure. And there is the exact point. We want to be above all of this stuff here. The diagonal line, the 50-day SMA, which of course is also still very strong resistance. We just fell back below it actually here. And therefore, this is not a confirmed breakout yet. By definition, we want to get above the previous high. And if you look at it from both perspectives, right? This high here or this high, we're still closing below them, both of them, right? We're still getting resistance from the previous high here and that previous high. So if you really want to play it safe here, like I tell you guys always, in these kind of market conditions, where there's a lot of traps and a lot of fake outs, you want to rather trade the retest and not the breakout. So a much better entry here would be to wait for a test of the 87 to 88K area. Then there's likely that we find some resistance there, and then take the retest when the price comes back down here to the 84 and 85K area. And that is then of course very strong, because we get confirmation that previous resistance gets turned into support. And you can see here, this is a key area of interest between 85 and 84K with massive resistance and support throughout this entire range here. So this is what we want to see, a clear break above there, clear close above there, then a retest of the area. And that is a very good long entry that I'm waiting for here for my longer term trades, right? And then we're targeting this area up here, 92 to 93K with a close above there. We would have clear indication of continuation of the uptrend here towards the previous all-time highs, where they then most likely get taken out, and we will see our cycle top at the end of that rally, right? So really, really interesting here, this current situation. But in my opinion, we still haven't broken out yet. Of course, guys, that doesn't mean that the low isn't in yet. We can still come back down here, consolidate somewhere between 82 and 81K, which is, of course, the key level here to continue then in the higher low, higher high structure that's starting to be visible on the smaller time frames, such as the 4-hourly chart that we see in a second. But if we get rejected here and then lose that area, then the likelihood is that this trend here, the momentum of this trend, takes us down here to this key area between 74 and 72K. That, of course, has been our target area for the bottom of this correction since the end of January here. So everything's still very similar. And I tell you guys, I'm still being extremely careful here. And I honestly still expect further downside here before we see a complete breakout and trend reversal here on the larger time frames. So let's look at the 4-hourly chart now and wrap things up there to see exactly what the key levels are here to identify here on the smaller time frames. And you can see here this descending channel, right? We're connecting all these tops here, multiple touch points, of course, focusing once again on a closing basis here. And this is the exact spot here where we got rejected, right? This is the key area that we've been looking at here over on X and in all my previous posts here and everywhere. Same here on YouTube as our key level that we need to break out from to get towards 87 and 88K. And that is where I posted yesterday. If we break that level at 87K, then it becomes really, really spicy for the long term here for Bitcoin. But for now, the same thing here. You can see we're printing higher lows here and higher highs, right? We have this high here and a low, then we confirmed this higher low here after printing another high, and so on. And this structure here continues. So therefore, if we come down here again, we want to get a bounce here and continue with another high low, and then ideally break this top here. But before that, I don't see any breakout yet, and I'm still very, very cautious, guys. Of course, like I said in the video that I posted yesterday, or the day before actually over on X, it was a very short video, it was a couple of minutes. I can show you actually, guys, right here. Whenever I see that the market is so volatile and there's so many traps, I much rather trade the retest than the breakout. And here I made a short video about it. You can see just a couple of minutes. Make sure to check that out, and then you will understand more what I talked about. And of course, here I made a long YouTube video about it as well. how to trade choppy markets that you can also check out. That is basically the longer version of it, and I explain in detail how I approach these kind of markets where we see so many traps and fake outs like we have in recent days and weeks, basically since the whole tariff thing started, right? So yeah, guys, this is basically it here for Bitcoin today. These are the key levels that you want to look out for. And then there's one massive thing that I want to discuss. There's a chart that I posted here just yesterday, actually. And there you can see it. This is something that I reposted from October 5th, 2022. Actually, the exact same day when I predicted here that the bull market for Bitcoin will start again in winter 2022, between November 2022 and January 2023, which of course has been the exact time frame when the bull market started again, or at least when the bottom was in and we started moving up from there. So this is the exact same date, and there I told you guys that we are seeing a strong rejection here now from DXY, from this massive uptrend that DXY basically has been in since the lows from the financial crisis in 2007-2008. You can see this exact point here. This was exactly October 2022, and that's why I said now we're moving down from there. And that of course was an additional indication that the bull market for crypto and Bitcoin is starting. And if we look at the chart right now, here's the weekly chart. Let's look at the monthly first. This is the exact chart that I posted then. This was here the exact spot, right? October 22, and that's when we moved down to this exact level, and now we're in a key spot. So if we look at this here, this is the recovery since the financial crisis 2007-2008, yeah? DXY has been moving up steadily from there on, and now we're right at support. So this is a massive spot here. If this breaks down, this of course can resemble then the financial crisis from 2007 and 2008 in a massive way. And I made a video about that on TradingView. I'll try to link it down in the description if I can find it. That actually went viral back then. It became an editor's choice on TradingView twice. This is what I spoke about, the financial crisis, that it will, if we see it again, through all the situation with the war and the inflation and everything that's happening from a macroeconomic perspective, that we can expect it to get just as ugly as it was in 2007 and 2008. And yeah, guys, now we're in a key spot here. Either we're going to see a bounce, and then of course that is not so good for risk assets, because we know that there's a strong negative correlation between Bitcoin and the US dollar. But of course, if this breaks down here, then that is massive for Bitcoin, and we can expect a lot of money to start flowing into Bitcoin. And this could actually be then the proof of concept for Bitcoin, since Bitcoin originates from those times of the financial crisis of 2007-2008, right? And was a big reason for the creation of Bitcoin. So really, really interesting times. And of course, I keep you updated on all of this over on X. So make sure to follow me over there as well, Patos Crypto. And this is the easiest way to stay up to date with my analysis, guys. And yeah, guys, here we can see it now on the weekly chart as well, actually, before we wrap it up here. We can see here, this is massive support right now, a key spot here, a support level that's been holding also since early 2022. So here we've been bouncing around here multiple times, and now we're actually running the risk of having a new closing low here. And then a potential, if this is the case, then of course the likelihood is here that this trend breaks now, and that we go down here and start moving downwards from this massive uptrend that has been forming since the financial crisis bottoms in 2007-2008. So really, really interesting times now, guys. In a way, of course, the whole world looks like this and freaks out, because this is then pointing into the direction of a massive recession. But from a crypto and Bitcoin perspective, of course, this is huge and can mean that there's a big, big increase in the price then in the future, in the near future. So yeah, guys, keep your eyes on this. Of course, I keep you updated on all of it. And yeah, this is it. If you're new to the channel, a warm welcome. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. And if you want to see more of it, then of course, smash up that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I update here with new Bitcoin analysis videos. And like I just said in the beginning of the video, I will be looking to do more video updates over on X whenever the action is slow. And then of course, most days I'll still be updating here on YouTube. Right, guys, I'm out now. Family's coming over. We're doing a barbecue today. And yeah, gonna enjoy my Sunday. I hope you guys do the same. And as always, happy trading and see you soon.